Welcome back to Furry Trash, the podcast for furries by furries. I'm Rose Get in the Box, and this week my guest doesn't need any intro. Everyone knows who she is. It's bring. It's Telephone.
Hello.
Hi, Telephone. Tell people who don't know who you are and what you do.
Hi, I'm Telephone, also Eno, the Eno dog online. I am a fursuit maker of 15 years? Longer? I don't know, I've lost count, but I'm also known as a character performer for Telephone. You might have seen her around cons and being weird and just this fun little thing that I do. So yeah, like I've kind of just been there and done that and just been around for a while.
I mean, better question, where haven't you been and what haven't you done? Because
That's a good question. What have I not done? I mean, I haven't if we talk about traveling, I haven't been to a lot of cons like overseas. The only country and the only con I've been to overseas was Convergence in Melbourne, Australia, and that's the only time I've ever left the US. So I think that's something I would really like to do, is like get out and travel a little bit more, but you know, it's expensive to do that, and kind of been in a pandemic for a while, so maybe next year.
yeah, there is the whole pandemic thing too. Yeah, it's just a small hindrance.
Yeah, it's kind of like that thing.
So how did you get into fursuit making?
So how I got into fursuit making is actually kind of a funny story. I started out as a cosplayer when I was a kid, very much loved Naruto and anime and stuff, so I wanted to make the Nine Tails fox from Naruto. I'm starting to make it, and I have no idea what I'm doing. I've never seen a tutorial, so I'm building it out of baling wire, filling and stuffing and duct tape and stuff. And it was at that moment my brother saw what I was making, and he came and asked if I was a furry. So it's kind of like the two stories of how I became a furry and how I became a fursuit maker. But you know, he asked some very interesting questions. I said, no, I don't know what that is. Later on, I look it up and I find furries, and that's when I started to make my own characters besides just ones from shows, and it kind of just spiraled into that, and eventually I started posting to YouTube, and people want to commission my work, and it just kind of snowballed from there, and now I'm here years later running Skypro costumes, so it's a lot of fun.
And you mentioned making your own characters and things. I would argue that you're most known for Telephone. How did Telephone become Telephone, like specifically?
So I tried to understand that myself for the longest time, and then I realized that this is just something that's been developing over the years. Before Telephone, I had a different character named Wicker, which was like this rainbow spotted leopard wolf demon thing. It was a hot mess. All right. Then I had some videos of Wicker, and I realized that her mannerisms were about the same as Telephone. And to a point where people were like interacting with that character, and in a sense, I kind of like decided to play around with like forgetting what it's like to be a person and actually try to understand this character a lot more and what people are seeing. So I wanted to be more animal-like on mentality and everything. So just every situation that came up, it would just grow more and more and more. So it's to the point where it solidified what I like and what I don't like with the character performance, and that's how it's just kind of gotten to where it is now.
One thing I really want to know is, how did you create Dutch Angel Dragons, and where did the name Dutch Angel Dragons come from? Because they're known all over the world.
Okay. So where's the name and how they came to be? So a funny story that hasn't really been told yet or shown, because a lot of people think that the original Dutch isTelephone, which in a sense, yes. This kind of creature stems from like way back when I was a kid. I have all the original like art that I did when I was a kid, and this is the one that stood out a lot for me. And it was I was having this problem, and I remember very fondly when I was a kid. I loved dragons like a lot, but I also liked horses, and I was like, like I want to make this like thing. And I finally just mashed the two together, and it developed over the years. And I had a character that was like this white horse looking dragon thing. Um, Kind of similar concepts to what a Dutch looks like now, but it just grew and grew and grew. And then, of course, like I just had like, this sounds so cheesy to say, but I had like a weird dream, this telephone. And, I just woke up the next morning. I was like, I gotta draw this. Like, I have to sketch this out because it was so cool. And then that's how telephone came to be. And when I was making Dutch angel dragons and naming them, it was kind of a process of kind of figuring out what I wanted to name them, because at the time we only called them angel dragons, right? And then it got to a point where I realized that this is something very special to me because it's followed me through my life, basically. And so I decided to name it Dutch after a horse that I had basically when I was a kid, that tragically passed away not long after me owning him. And it was very hard for me because that horse meant a lot. And there's a whole story on the website about it. But it was kind of like this double-edged sword too, because the initials DAD, dad, was also kind of meaningful to me because my father passed away of cancer when I was very young. So it's kind of like I want it to be something special. Glad that it is where it is and people have been enjoying it. So it's kind of like a little story there.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that the story came from bad beginnings, I guess, or sad beginnings, but now it's created this like massive community all over the world that's just spreading positivity and kindness. Like, one thing that springs to my mind is there was an incident many years ago. I think it was a BLFC, but I am willing to be corrected because, as we've established, I know nothing about American cons.
Yeah.
With a young girl, I believe her name was Emma, like Emma the Tiger Wolfie or something. And it was just like the story that you had been connected with her kind of warmed my heart a little bit. So would you mind like sharing what happened and how you've changed this girl's day? Definitely, but I'd say her outlook at the furry fandom.
Yeah. So it was Twilight and someone else that came to me and were telling me that this little girl left the convention because she was upset and someone bullied her for her suit. And yeah, it was one of the Maskimals from Walmart. So I was like, well, we can't have that. Let's do some photos of us like asking her to come back. So we took some photos. Like Twilight was right next to me the whole time. Like, I can't take like full credit for this whatsoever. If they never brought it to me, I would have never known. But we took those photos to have them come back, and from my understanding, either they left and came back or they saw the sign. I'm not quite sure, but we did end up locating them and Emma and the parent. And I sat down. At the time, I was in Rose, and I went and asked her. I was like, what happened? Like, do you want to talk about it? She wasn't wearing her costume head or anything. What had happened is that there was either, from my understanding, 2 or 1 mouse suitors that at the fursuit parade photo shoot or something like that, they decided to bully her and say that her suit is so ugly and like she doesn't belong here and stuff. And she was just a little kid, and of course she got upset and she wanted to leave because not everybody can afford nice suits. I'm sorry. Like, I think the Maskimals are great for kids. After talking with her mom and everything, I was like, can you come back here around this time? I'd like to do like, an official like photo shoot for Emma. And at the time, my husband had a white tiger head because that was her favorite thing. And we brought it down and we let her wear that one and do a whole photo shoot. And like it really brought awareness to this kid, and what was going on, from being bullied for something so silly. So yeah, like it all turned out well and she had a really good time at the con, and everything was like a good happy ending. As far as the bullies, we left that up to the con to deal with, and I do believe that they did locate the person that did that and remove them from the convention. So that's the story.
Thank you for inviting me into your space. This is pretty cool to see at this angle. I'm just like,
Yeah.
there's so much going on. I mentally have blocked out telephone because if I look at her too much, I'll start talking to her. So what's going on your craft table right now?
So besides telephone, just hanging out here for visuals and stuff, I'll put her over here. Currently I've got this dragon that I'm working on, and also like Splut's new suit over here, which we are working on as well. So that is getting ready to be furred. We've got just pretty much everything, like the standard like utensils. I've got like hot glue sticks, cutting blades, thread. This guy will hopefully be furred here in the next couple of days, so lots and lots to do. And we've got a ton of stuff, suits everywhere, honestly, in this workshop. The unicorn that I've been working on is over in this area, so yeah, it's kind of like what I'm tracking right now.
To ask about telephone, like the character, why do you perform the way you do in her? Like the bird, the bird noise, the thing in your mouth. I can't remember what they're called. The bird caller things. Why do you have one of sorry, I'm just like so many questions going on.
Oh, go shoot.
Okay.
Go for it.
Like rapid fire.
All right, I don't mind.
Rapid fire. Why fursuit dancing? It's pretty cool, by the way.
Fursuit dancing, I don't know. I just love it. It's a way to express yourself, and it was a lot of fun. So yeah.
What inspired you with the bird chirp? Like, how did you think of the bird chirping instead of like normally like talking in suit, or like, do you know what I mean?
So her whistle or her call is actually a custom-made call I made myself. It's actually not one of the bird whistles. Inspired me is when I got the full body of Telephone V1 at MFF years ago. Phoenix Wolf and like all my friends, they got dog squeakers, and they're like, you got to try this out. They cut the dog squeaker out and shoved it in our mouths, which you shouldn't do, but we ran around squeaking, and it was the most annoying thing possible, but I loved it so much that I was like, I have to find a way to make noise like this, but safely. So that's when I started to develop my own call, and it took quite a few years. So yeah.
That is wicked cool. And as to quote Uncle Kage, in years we will look back and figure out that telephone was the first squeaker furry not to be super annoying.
Yeah, I remember that. I was like, whoa, thank you. Like, that's a big compliment, because I always thought that I was like being too much, but it's nice. It's nice to hear that.
Like that telephone is just adorable. And the way that you speak in her, like how you'll say words differently. I was just like, this, I am melting with the cuteness. So at conventions, lots of children interact with you. And when I say children, I mean like 10 to 16, because that's usually like, the child, young adult kind of presence at cons. What's it like to see them interact with you? Like, how do you feel about the quote new generation of furries interacting with you?
I think they're lovely. Like, I see some kids when they approach self and everything, they try to imitate her mannerisms or her sounds and stuff. And like, I absolutely love it. I think it's great. And like this, if someone wants to do the same thing that I'm doing, I'm completely fine with that because I'm having a lot of fun. And I would love people to experience that and to kind of dive more into character development if they so choose. But I don't know, like not much to say there, but I just love it. I'm glad that they're having fun as well, and I can interact as telephone and like say hello and stuff.
Like whenever I see videos of people interact with you, it always warms my heart. Like it's like, oh, they're so cute.
Yeah, I think it's so sweet. I think my favorite type of interaction was someone that was blind and deaf and this was at Anthrocon. I mean, I've had plenty of people that are blind that ask if they can touch the head to like feel and everything, and I'll wait patiently. But there was someone that was blind and deaf, and they had someone signing into their hand while they're like touching telephone. It was like the sweetest thing where like they just like lit up and they just started smiling and they were like, what? It was just really sweet to see that and like see them like super happy. So yeah.
One thing I really wanted to ask, how has the furry fandom affected your life, like changed your life if it has? Life, furries,
Wow, that's actually,
how animal changed life?
oh my gosh, it changed every aspect of my life. I don't know what I'd be doing right now if I didn't have the furry fandom. Like I probably would still be up in the small podunk town that I grew up in, and it's almost like haunting to even think about like what I would have done. Because I mean, not only has it like given me like my job that I've had for years now, it's also taught me a lot. Like I have learned so much in this fandom when it comes to just like socializing and like correct things to say, like how to be, more thinking of the word kind or aware of what I'm saying. Like it's just been like kind of big brother or big sister that's kind of been like, let me teach you things, and it's been honestly really awesome to be able to be in this spot now.
That is super, super sweet.
With the whole like becoming well known and stuff, like that's been on the back of my mind. Like, I'm here to enjoy myself, enjoy my costume, but also it's a plus to see people happy. And I've been doing this for years. I've been doing it not necessarily for like any like recognition. It's just something that was fun. Like when I used to post videos, I would get excited. I have to go like watch it over and over again to remember that memory. And it's just for fun. So like I really don't ever want to get into that mentality of like, I'm a celebrity and I deserve this. Like, nah, I'm sorry. Cancel me when I start to get to that point. hit the delete button.
You heard it here first. Telephone will be cancelled.
Yay.
So you mentioned earlier on that you had made duchies yourself, right? What was it like when you saw other people wanting to make their own fursonas into your species, I guess, species, animal part?
I was super, super excited, just thrilled to see that. Like it made me like so happy that someone else could like this little niche thing that I had to myself since I was a kid, and suddenly like other people are enjoying it. And then it kept going. I'm like, oh my gosh. Like I'm just happy, really. My face is hurting. I'm like smiling so much. I've been like blushing. I guess I'm just like,
My face is hurting from smiling too.
both in the same boat.
What's the story with the markings? So I know they've recently changed or like altered slightly. Like how did you kind of establish the markings rule, I guess?
So when I put that marking rule in place, there was a lot of reasons. One with the lore, Another reason is that when I first started making this thing live, I knew that there was going to be a lot of people that would want to make characters that were similar to Telephone. So I took the most contrasting thing on her, which is the muzzle ring, and made it a rule against making one with the muzzle ring, because I was concerned about people claiming that they're ripping off Telephone and I'm getting bullied and everything. And when it comes down to it, like I'm to the point where I'm like, I wouldn't want people to completely copy my suit, but if someone does, it's probably a kid. Let them have fun. They can be Telephone. It's fine. But yeah, and then there is something I haven't really gone into too much with the muzzle ring. I'm kind of holding myself for a little while until the book is done for people to understand like the significance of that. But
hang on, there's a book.
I'm really excited.
There's a book.
Yeah, there's a book. Yep, I've been working on a book this whole time, like ever since oh goodness, even before it was a thing. But for some reason, I woke up one day when I was a kid, I was like, I'm gonna write a book. So it's in development right now. We're still working on a lot because it's pretty deep and there's a lot of character development. So
Telephone, thank you so much, honestly, for coming on. I cannot express how happy this makes me. If you're not listening to this, if you're watching this, if you're not watching this on YouTube, my face has gone red because I'm smiling so much.
Mine too.
It has honestly been incredible, and I want to just say, like, not only from me but from like all the furs in Ireland and like all the furs all over the world, thank you for how much of an impact you've had. It's been crazy. Obviously for me it's been insane to like follow you all this time online, and here you are on my show. What? But before we go, what would be some advice you would give to younger furs in the fandom who are just kind of like starting off, or like kind of getting there, trying to find their feet, I guess?
I would say just be kind and just be creative. Just go out there, try new things, and just have fun. Don't worry about things all too much. So yeah.
And thank you for tuning in to Furry Trash.
Bye.
So Telephone, before you go, there's a massive sign above my laptop. Why didn't we say this to you? Would you mind if I got a picture of you in Telephone and I got a picture with ink and we could do a picture together? Because the chances of me meeting you in real life are very slim because, America.
Yeah.
And it's something I've always wanted, is a photo of like ink with Telephone. And that would...
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the Telephone. Oh my God. Oh my God, it's Telephone. That is adorable.